Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Musical Innertube. I'm Don Rooney. The music you're hearing behind us, our theme music entitled Get All the Women to Dance, is being played by a musical group that has never been in the same room together. At the end of every Musical Innertube, I give thanks for our theme music provided by virtual band Car Radio Dog. Well, today, we'll talk to members of that musical group, and one of them is none other than John Timpane.
That's right, Don. You know, it was in 1998 that two of us went into a music store and we bought what was then a new invention, a digital recorder. And it allowed us to make almost professional recordings of music that we played at home. Well, we would drive that recorder hundreds of miles to other people's houses and record them. And I even took it on an airplane across the United States to record musicians in California. And little by little, we cobbled together an album. Our very first album, it took us 10 years. And since then, we've made 3 more. And we're coming out with our 4th album right now. And it's called Sin Embargo. I am delighted to welcome to the Musical Interlude 2 of the members of Car Radio Dog, Kevin Timpane, my brother, and Richard Lindsey, my brother in music. Welcome to our little podcast, guys.
Hello, thank you for having us.
Hello, thank you for having Richard.
So, Kevin, why don't you give your sense of our latest album? You know, what you like about it, where it's going, and how we made it. Any of those will be good. I want to start at the nearest end, and we could work backward in time.
At a high level, to quote John Lennon, it'll be the usual rubbish, but it won't cost much. That's the bargain we're striking up. No, honestly, like a lot of our records, we're not a young band, I would say. So we're not worried as much about developing a sound specific that seems to get repeated in each song that we choose. But we are interested in melding a lot of different styles. So as my daughter would say, if you ever listen to one of the Car Radio Dog albums, if you turn on one song and you don't like it, just hit fast forward and the next song will be a totally different genre, but it'll be high quality. But what I like about this particular CD, and similar to the others, but a little bit more so, is we took great efforts to give people a chance to do things they don't normally do, to make sure that everybody was having fun on the songs and make sure that we don't lose that fun when we record it. And I think that does come through on a number of different songs that we've got where they might be hard rock and bluesy, and yet they're still fun. So I enjoy that very much, to get that out of the output that we've gotten from this particular set of songs.
Hey, Richard, how you doing?
Good.
You and Kevin are our main producers. I think we can say that. And that means that you're sort of the center of the whole organism in a way. And I guess, how many people did we use on this album besides the 3 of us and also the great singer and multi-instrumentalist Dan McCarville? And so sort of that 4 plus Megan Timpane, right? Kevin's daughter and my little niece. So let's say that's the central 5. How many leads? How many other people did we have? What was our total weight in people? I can't even remember.
Well, we had our occasional drummer, Mikey. We had your sister, Mary. We had Kevin's son, Daniel, for a minute. We had your son, Connor. And we had Danny's daughter, Katie. We had Megan's friend, Tiana. Mm-hmm. I know I'm forgetting.
We had Heather.
People,
we had Heather Robbins,
yes.
the vocal. Yes,
exactly. And we had my friend Eric Siegel on one track.
And Dave Berry played mandolin on the track for us as well.
Yes, yes.
We don't focus on one individual as a lead singer, and in this album that we've got more of kind of multi-generational lead singers. So we've got 4 different singers that are singing lead or rapping, and they're all in the next generation after us. So we're mixing it up. We have 6 different lead singers. We have a rapper as well. And all of them are in our kids' generation, but they seem to share the same affection for music or have studied music in school and are already performers, and we are just latching on to them if we can to pull in some high quality and also to fit the style of the songs that we are recording. And as an example, we suggested to my daughter, Megan, who's got a great voice, and we know that from previous recordings, that she sing one of John's songs, which is All I Do Is Forget You, kind of a country song. And she said, hey, wait a minute. Her friend, Katie, who's also the daughter of Danny McCarville, our other lead singer, said, Katie is a really great country singer. Let's try her out. And sure enough, she just knocks it out of the park as the lead singer and really feels the country style of that particular song.
Yeah, why don't we hear that one right now? This is called All I Do Is Forget You.
Richard, let's talk about, without getting too technical, how you put this all together. If you get a lead vocal from one source and drums from another and a bass line from another and a guitar from another. How do you put it all together? How do you meld it all into one song, especially considering you're getting it from different audio sources that may all not be exactly the same technically?
Well, asking me not to be too technical is like tying my hands behind my back, but I will do my best nonetheless. Well, it starts even a little earlier than getting the tracks. We have to give some thought into how once we sort of know what we want on the song, how we're going to get it done, because we have almost never been inside an actual recording studio to do any of this. We do all of it in our homes or in somebody else's space. Once in a while, we've been to home studios. But say if we realize, for example, that we absolutely have to have live drums on something, then we go to somebody's house, record the drums, and then we take the tracks home. I've sort of functioned as the storehouse for the recorded tracks. So everybody gets to hear everything, but it sort of resides with me. So there's a kind of a central copy that is the ongoing truth, if you like, and then subject
right.
to change. And then as people do things remotely, and this is interesting because we don't actually all have to have the same software to do it. We, the three of us, use a type of recording software called Waveform, which is a DAW program. But all that really matters for the tracks, individual tracks we get in from other people, is that they're in a particular file format, which is for us is typically WAV, but we could also take TIFF files, which is what you get in Apple and so on. So then once that happens, I fly it into the kind of the master project, and then just make sure there are no issues with alignment. Like sometimes if you did it elsewhere, the count off is different, so the track is off by a measure or two. Fix all that stuff, make sure it's sitting pretty and all that. And then once I get that, usually I'll send things out to everybody to listen. Okay, here's what we have so far. Here's the track that we got. What's next? And then we sort of confer on what else we have to get in there, or if that track has to be done again, or if there's a technical problem with the sound of it, or if that gives you an idea for something else that you didn't think about before. That happens too, because we don't necessarily have everything planned out from the beginning. Sometimes there are plenty of happy accidents where you get to one point and then the light bulb goes off over Kevin's head or John's head or mine, and we figured, oh, what if we did this?
Here's my Indian prayer bowl. Let's try that.
Yes, right. Kevin had that idea of having an Indian prayer bowl that he can make start a very beautiful sound. And actually, that song that you're talking about, which is Don't Let the Sun Go Down. Is that right, Kevin?
Better Not Let the Sun Go Down.
I love this song in so many ways. First of all, Kevin is the writer of the main body of the song, but he imported something that Richard had written, about 40 years previously, right, Richard?
About that, yeah.
Yeah, and we twiggled it and twuggled it, and that became a middle part that was played with flute and guitar. And then we come back into the bombastic main section, and it comes in and goes out on this beautiful tone that Kevin creates on the Indian prayer bowl. And there were I think there were a lot of fun accidents on that, where the vocals should go, a lot of, I think, our innovations this time were on, the supporting vocals, what they should do, where they should be placed, what combination of vocals you would have. We tried to keep mixing it up.
Yeah, that song is probably your typical punk 5/4 song with a nice Latin jazz interlude in the middle, which is, every punk band has one of those.
Right. Yeah, a tad formulaic, but...
Smells so Winter's undone. Can't see the sun. Kids tell me it's gone. Darkness returns, beating his drum. Better not let that sun go
Yeah. And just to respond to what Richard was saying, though, just so you don't get the wrong idea, even though we do a lot of this at home, all of us do have basically home studios. And with the electronics these days, it's easy to do that at home. We all have keyboards. We've all got electronic instruments. We do have the same software, and including Danny. So there's 4 of us who have the same software. So it's easy to exchange files just through file transfer over the internet. And we're pretty careful about it. So we do actually use a drummer in a studio, but only on about a third to a half of the songs. And then we take great pains in the quality. So Richard and I slave for months and sometimes over a year to just get the quality to a level where you wouldn't recognize a difference between what we're producing and what one of the major studios are doing for a major label artist. And we use professional masters and mixers, and they help us at the end of the project to really tighten up the sound and bring it up to the right quality, where we put every song in rotation with other songs to see if we can tell a difference between the quality. So it's doable to do these kinds of things in a virtual band and still get the same quality that you might get going into a studio.
Do you ever hook up all of your different home studios on a live feed and play together, sort of the way that some musicians did on Zoom during the pandemic?
We've never done that. There are some technical difficulties with that. There is an inevitable lag time. It works better with musicians who are within a few miles of each other. For instance, I'm in the East Bay. If I could play probably with someone in Walnut Creek and someone in the city maybe, but coming from New Jersey or Southern California or Texas or whatever, it'd probably be too big a lag.
That's the other thing I wanted to mention is that we are bi-coastal at least. I mean, a couple of us live out here in the East Coast, and Kevin and Richard and just about everybody else lives on the West Coast. It's crazy.
But we did at one point, we had people living in 4 different states, but we now try to make the effort at least a couple times a year to put the 3 of us together. And with anybody in Southern California, I do make trips down to do recording with them. And I'll bring a little Porta studio with me with all the electronics that I need to record voices, instruments, on some of the songs. So even the song on the album, like Sick of the Cloud, we recorded guitars down in Whittier, and we recorded vocals in La Habra in Southern California. And we recorded the keyboards and lead vocals in San Francisco. We did bass and the drums Richard pulled together out of his home studio. And we had a rapper come in that we recorded here in San Francisco. So we do make ourselves pretty mobile, and it's an effort for us to see each other get the creativity as well, that we do try to get together in the same place for long weekends to do some of the creation as well.
Well, let's listen to that now. This is Sick of the Cloud from the new Car Radio Dog album, Sin Embargo.
Of where I go and what I find.
rag, can't look away. What I'd miss, now they know my cars, they know my dog. I'm pretty sure they already stole this song. Hackers and trolls, we're in bad shape. Caught up in the cloud and you can't escape. Sold out my friend, so what to do? Hey, no offense, I gave them you.
I let him in and all for free. They signed away my privacy. They hacked my PIN and my ID. Betrayed my friends and my family. He stolen my identity. And now there isn't any more real me. He's the enemy. I'm so sick of the clown. I can't quit. And I'm hooked. Yeah, I can't
I don't
quit.
want to scare ya, I'm not here to cause undue hysteria. It might be a virus or bacteria, but the cloud that you live in has been infected. I know that ain't something that you ever expected. Maybe it's not a virus, it might be a fungus. A hairy old fungus that's growing among us. Invisible, omnipotent, random, humongous, with long black tendrils and big green spots. Each spot is infected with 1,000 spots. Fish infected and enslaving the crowd. The cloud that you're in is a mushroom cloud.
I gotta quit. I'm sick and I'm through. I can't kick. I can't kick. It's all to do with money, 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 money. Save me.
I know that home studios are now commonplace in music, as you're talking about, Kevin, and a lot of major musicians are obviously have home studios, as well as people who just do it for fun in a garage setting. But is this something that music is headed towards, where people can put a whole album together in their homes without having to worry about going into a professional studio ever?
It's already there. It's not heading towards it. It's here. It's for years now. It's been possible to make a professional quality recording in whatever spare space you have, and obviously some of us have bigger, more elaborate spare spaces than others. But if I recall right, I think the first Billie Eilish record was just her and her brother in a spare bedroom or something.
Because you could do it anywhere now. I mean, when we first started in 98, I would record my parts on this digital recorder. Then I'd have to put it in my car and drive 100 miles up to Richard's house. And he would download it with a wire into his computer, because there weren't any easy ways yet. I mean, you could do it, but it wasn't easy to basically send a very large file, because, sound files are enormous. It wasn't until a couple of years later where you could do that fairly easily. Now you could do it really easily. You can make a whole album online. There are web services that just let you make albums on the web service, So it's fairly easy. And a lot of people, don't go to anybody else's house. They just stay at home and make a record.
I think that it's common for people to make the records at home and to make albums at home. I don't think it's as common that people take as long or as great pains as we do on the quality. I mean, you do hear, and I do, and Richard does, I know as well, and I'm sure John, with the bands that you've been in, do hear a lot of recordings of local bands or bands that are trying to do similar things, but the quality is typically an unfinished product. So there's these additional steps of both getting to a mix that you really, really are okay with, and then having a professional mixer mix it down. And we go through as many as 10 or 11 iterations on an individual song of mixes, and then get a mastering agent to come in and take the entire sound of that and balance it and make it sound right. It's a really, at the very tail end of the process, you're done with the writing, you're done with the singing, you're done with the playing, and then it still takes a few months to really get it right. And it's painful. So I think a lot of bands kind of skip that, because it does sound good to you when you're doing the demos. And so they kind of go past that real honing of the quality. And that's noticeable. I've run into probably 10 or 15 bands who have shared materials with me over the last 6 months. I'd say like 2 have a really high quality, even if you don't care about the songs one way or another. But the quality is something that you could hear on the radio, or you could hear compared to some of the largest artists.
I think a great example of how we make a song and how the song ends up sounding just terrific. And this is going down to Kevin and to Richard, and what they do in this sort of magical way that we're talking about is a song called Whistling. And it really is a car radio dog concoction par excellence, because back in the 80s, I had made a tape, and I made a sort of an instrumental song and whistled along to it, on a tape. And Kevin found it 40 years later and said, "Hey, we should do this." And so he and Richard set up this lovely arrangement, and and Kevin wrote some words, and then Megan was the lead singer, and Richard plays a beautiful guitar. And as the song went on, you have lovely vocals. You have good supporting vocals. I think it's Kevin and I. And I ended up playing. It was my debut on mandolin, and some flute. Right? It just gets in there. So let's listen to that, because it built itself. It sort of was the airplane that built itself as it flew, and it's just gorgeous. I think Kevin and Richard really outdid themselves in this. It's called Whistling.
Hey, don't forget the horns on this one too. There's a horn ensemble, and then there's also a solo muted trumpet that Kevin plays towards the end. It's a kind of unlikely combination, but it is another one of those happy accidents that we're actually pretty pleased with.
We had recordings of bird whistles to start it off, to give it a nice ambiance. And we have a friend who works as a data scientist, so he tells me all the time, "Oh yeah, I'm a scientist. I can clean that up for you." And sure enough, working for Facebook, they had all sorts of tools that we didn't, and took all the background noise out. So there's a lot of things that went into making this a really nice sounding song. Yeah, you just heard whistling. Megan has a friend who said she didn't know the lyrics to that song, but she can't get it out of her head. So she walks around the house going, "When I'm sweeping and when I'm vacuuming." And that still has a particular resonance and charm for all of us, that really, seriously, hearing somebody sing your song, there can't be any more gratification than that.
So, Richard,
Yeah.
you haven't selected a song yet for us to play. What's one that you would like to play and why?
Oh, let's think about that for a second. Oh yeah, I would like to hear "Summer Long," because that is, again, something different, and it's actually two things that are different, not only from the other things, but from each other. And before we got on here, Don and I were talking a little bit about my recent forays into Brazilian music, and you'll hear a little bit of that in this one. And again, as you'll hear as Kevin said earlier, you'll hear that we took some considerable pains with the background vocals on this. I would say more on this record as a whole than on any of the previous records. And I think it pays off on this one. Kevin's daughter Megan sings on this and just does a beautiful job. Heather is on it too. And
This is exactly what we were talking about earlier, that the combination of styles, seeing if we can make that work. And in this one, we really do think we make like 3 different styles work in a single song.
All the ways you reach me, for all that you teach me, you open my eyes wide. For all that you show me, all the ways you know me, the way it feels inside. Overwhelming miracle of ordinary lives. Oh, autumn flaming all over the place. Winter comes and the ice and the lace. Spring arrives and we do it again. We belong to summer long. Color you in the change of the year. Shelter you if the chill is too near. Cradle you when the spring comes alive. We belong to summer long. For all the ways you feel me, touching the real me, gentle as the night. For all that you gave me, all the ways you saved me, you keep me in the light. Mystery of curious coincidental lines. Oh, autumn comes and the leaves whirling gold. Winter tenderly starry and cold. Spring arrives and the way we renew. We belong to summer long. Spring is here, we're reborn in the sun. Winter's gone and the chill is undone. Autumn was and it will be again. We belong to summer long. Ordinary miracle of overwhelming lies. Oh, autumn comes and the leaves whirling gold. Winter tenderly starry and cold. Spring arrives and the way we renew. We belong to summer long. Autumn comes, winter tenderly, spring arrives. We belong to summer long.
So this is a labor of love, obviously, for you guys. I'm wondering, where does it go? Do you just keep turning out the CDs whenever the mood strikes, or are there grander plans involved for Car Radio Dog?
Well, after having seen the Let It Be documentary and realizing that the Beatles never did do that live on a boat drifting into Tripoli or Istanbul, whatever it was they were going to do, we know that's still open. Nobody's done that yet.
I would have to concede that world domination is off the table, probably.
Well, doing another album is always what we think about after we finished an album. Maybe we will, maybe we won't, but there's obviously songs out there that we could put together for a new album.
I think it's new, John. I mean, we may find that we drive each other nuts doing this stuff because we do.
Yes, we do.
We've very creative minds and we've all got ideas and we're all very strong-willed, but that's why things, when they get finished, end up sounding so good. But even on this one, we've got to come back at least and do the title song to this album, which is not on this album. Since we do have a song called Scene Embargo, but we didn't include it in this batch. But we always end up with, John's written hundreds of songs, and certainly between Richard and I, we've got another 60 to 100 songs that we could choose from, and we're writing constantly. So it'd be hard to think that we wouldn't continue making some types of albums, whether or not they're going to be 14 songs and a CD, or maybe they're 5 songs at a time. Maybe we release a couple songs here and there. We've still got, even from the last batch, we started with a list of about 35 songs and culled it down into 14. So I think we've got a lot to choose from, and it would seem a shame if we don't continue making more and more music. I think sometimes you just have to get through the frustrations that you can have taking as long as we do to get it done, which is part of making it sound good.
For all the convenience of the process, the fact that we can do these things in our spare rooms, there are some things that just take longer to hash out. If we get together in a room and bounce ideas off each other, we can make some decisions in a matter of minutes. If it's a matter of circulating MP3s and having a long email trail or having phone conversations, all that stuff sort of takes longer. It's worth it for the convenience, but it does actually impose a little bit of its own burden on the process. If we had time for one more song, sort of on the theme of resilience, the last song on the record, Walk Away from the Darkness, is kind of all about that. It's also kind of the biggest sounding song with the most elements in it in some way, or at least the most elements going on at one time.
Children, walk away from the darkness. Shake off the weight of the past. The highway is vast. Turn homeward at last. You know the way. Children, walk away from the darkness. Get a good grip on the light. Both hands hold on tight. Walk into the light. Rising from the sun, the human pantomime. Party all the time. Party's over, what happened? When you hear the voice giving you no choice, edit out the noise. Let the wave wash over you. Children, turn your back on the sadness. All of your suffering is real. It's proof that you feel, believe you can heal. And baby, you will. Children, in the face of the madness, tear all illusions apart. As tough as your heart, let miracles start. switch places and could be in disguise. Children, any mirror will show you in one loving embrace your body, your face, your time, and your place. Children, walk away from the darkness. Oh, children, walk away from the darkness. Children, walk away. So tell me, how's my little boy? How's my little girl? How's my little girl? How's my little children, walk away from the darkness. Get a good grip on the light, both hands hold on tight, walk into the light. Into the light. Into the light. Into the light.
Find Car Radio Dog's music on Amazon.com, Spotify, Pandora, and YouTube. And check out their Facebook page under, you guessed it, Car Radio Dog. And as to where the name Car Radio Dog came from, it came from this song, which is on their album Fetch.
We dance in the rain in the middle of June. Our next door neighbors are staring. They think that we are crazy loons. Well, I guess it runs in the family. Let us get in the car and we'll find a field and let the dog go running. Then we'll turn the car radio up loud and do a two-step. Baby, you and me. I got my car radio. Don't think everyone should have one. I got my car radio. Don't think everyone should have one. Oh, oh, oh. When morning I sing in the shower, I make like Enrico Caruso. And if you love me, girl, please tell me. Oh, I wish you would do so. We will get in the car and we'll find a field and let the dog go running. And we'll turn the car radio up loud and do a two-step. Baby, 1, 2, 3. I got my car radio. Don't think everyone should have one. I got my car radio. Don't think everyone should have one. His name is Spawn. He runs a lot and jumps a lot. His name is Spawn. He runs a lot and jumps a lot. He does everything oh so wonderfully. In my opinion, he is sleepy canine fun. He jumps and runs. He is a good boy. Fetch, go over there and get that stick. Dancing, oh, we are dancing. 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 Oh, we are. We dance in the rain in the middle of June. We dance in the rain in the middle of June.
Getting drunk on glue, it makes everything look ugly. I'd rather try getting drunk on you. It makes everything look lovely. We will get in the car and we'll find a field and let the dog go running. Then we'll turn the car radio up loud and do a two-step. Baby, you and me. I got my car radio. Don't think everyone should have one. I got my car radio. Don't think everyone should have one. Dancing, oh, we are 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 dancing.
Well, Richard Lindsey and Kevin Timpane, thank you for coming on to our lovely podcast and talking about one of the bands that I love the most in the world, Car Radio Dog, a virtual band which has never played in the same room ever. And yet on 4 whole albums now, you can hear a sound very much like people actually playing together in a studio or live in concert. And perhaps we'll do a 5th one soon. So thank you for being on the Musical Innertube.
Well, thanks for having us, guys.
Yeah, Don, thanks for letting us listen to your podcast and now being a part of one.
Thank you for listening to the Musical Innertube.
Instead of our usual closing remarks, we'll just ask you to check out our website, musicalinnertube.com.
And we'll thank the virtual band Car Radio Dog by playing our theme music, Get All the Women to Dance, in its entirety. So here you go. Enjoy, and we'll see you next week.